Good evening, Tewksbury. It is 6:07 PM on Thursday, September 21st, 2023, and I'd like to call this meeting of the Tewksbury Board of Health to order. We have just 3 members tonight. That still constitutes a quorum, so we can do our regular votes. And there's really, we have the, one item new business, but there's nothing that the board's going to have to vote on that tonight, so I think we should be well good. So the first item we have is approval of minutes from August 17th, 2023. I know the clerk has reviewed them and sent them back to the department, who in turn sent them out to us. Does anyone have any suggested edits or comments to those minutes?
I have no changes.
No changes.
Okay, I do not as either. So I want one of you two to make a motion to, and the other can second the motion.
I will make a motion to adopt the minutes as written.
I'll
Okay.
second that motion.
Perfect. So motion's been put forth and seconded to approve the minutes of August 17th, 2023 as submitted. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
And chair votes aye as well, so carries unanimously 3-0. And I should also mention that the director is not able to be here tonight either, but she did give me her report in written format, so I'll read that at the appropriate time. Okay, new business. Tobacco sales to minors. Smitty Liquors, 1091 Main Street. Violation occurred on August 7th, 2023 during compliance check. Pursuant to Chapter 11, Section 11.17.1.a of the Board of Health Regulations entitled Restricting the Sale of Tobacco Products, which requires an appearance by the tobacco sales permit holder or his business agent before the Board of Health to explain the plan he has developed to avoid additional violations. So if you'd like to come up. And then if you just want to fill your name and address on the sign-in sheet, and once you've done it, you can just state your name and address into the microphone for the record, please. So Ron, I'm going to have you sort of pull double duty, because normally the director would give the overview of the reason that they're here before us, so I'll have you do that.
Yes. Ron Beauregard, Tobacco Control Program for the town of Tewksbury, working with an Andover collaborative of 18 communities, at which I represent their tobacco control director for each program. Very straightforward. In this case here, there was on, I believe it was August 7th, if I recall, we did compliance checks in Tewksbury. There was one sale at Smitty's Liquors. I've had an opportunity to talk with Dean, and I can tell you, and what I told him prior to this meeting is, as I can recall, I meant to look at my database. We hold a long-standing database for previous compliance checks, but my memory for this store is in and out, meaning the individual that we would send in would go in and they'd be promptly coming out. So they have a good record. We talked about the fact that Massachusetts has the strongest state law in the country, perhaps now joined by California. But they're very large fines that was paid. And I think everything, and what I should say to Dean now, which I've neglected to say while we were meeting outside here, was at any time, I know it's not a large operation, but anytime he wants to call, and if it's a new employee, and even though I know you train them thoroughly, if you feel there's any advantage for someone from the outside, meaning the ones that actually do the compliance checks, to talk with them for a few minutes and explain why they need to do this, meaning ID everyone, I'd be more than happy to do so.
Great, thanks. Okay. And you had mentioned you looked at your database, and I've been on the board for 12 years, and I think I still have my memory pretty well complete, and this is the first time I remember anyone coming from this operation. So for that, I give you credit, because we've had others that have been more or frequent flyers for various reasons. So I'm glad that this is only your first time before us. And hopefully you'll last.
Exactly.
So what we normally like to do is to know what have done in other cases is to ask the permit holder to submit a plan to the department, just sort of stating what steps are you planning on taking to try to ensure this doesn't happen again. And we know it's a tough thing to do, and ultimately, we're looking at it from the aspect of trying to protect the public health of underage from getting access to tobacco, and but we know it's a tough thing because you can't be there 24/7 watching the register and knowing what's happening, and training can be done, and it's just, things can happen. So I'll turn the mic over to you, so if you just want to state who you are and the business, we won't have you do the home address, just business is fine, and then what your plans are to address it.
Okay, yeah, Dean Graffio, I'm the owner of Smitty's Liquors, 1091 Main Street. I apologize for having to even be here, but we take selling alcohol and tobacco very serious to underage. I have a big investment in the community with me and my family. I'm really upset that I'm even here, but mistakes do happen. It was a good learning mistake. My son was the one that offended it, and we talked about it. So basically what we did is we just retrained the staff. We on all tobacco purchases at this point, and put up additional signage at the point of purchase. Luckily, they only have one register for tobacco purchase, so, it's easy right there. And like I said, we're doing the card all, and we just retrain the staff, and we're pretty vigilant. I mean, we take it serious. It's not something that we take lightly, and, I apologize again that we're here, and I don't plan on being back here.
So, board member have questions?
I don't have any questions, just a couple of points of information. Sales to minors of tobacco products in this country has reached $1 billion this year.
Yeah.
$1 billion. That's how big a problem it is. And we know that folks that are minors that start smoking continue smoking. It becomes a lifelong problem. It becomes a lifelong affliction. Obviously affects their health throughout their years. But it's not unique to just your business. Obviously, the problem's big, and that's why the penalty's big.
Yep.
So that's really all the information I had to point out.
Yeah, and just one point, the only tobacco product I sell is cigarettes, and it's really just a convenient to the customer. I don't have vape or cigars or chewing tobacco. I don't have any of that because, like you said, that's like a gateway, and I really just keep bare necessity cigarettes as a convenience because of that. They do take underage serious. I mean, I'm a coach. My daughter coaches. My son coaches. I know what it does to athletes, so I do take it serious. But thank you.
Ms. Braga?
I don't have any questions. I appreciate that you are here. So you've retrained all the.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's good. I've had the same staff for like 6 years, the 6 years I've owned the store, so it's been great. I don't have a big turnover. We have one point of purchase, one register, so it's pretty streamlined. It literally is a lapse, but yeah, everyone's been retrained. They understand now that we have a strike against us, and again, I have a great staff. They don't want to sell. They're all about it. They're all like, yeah, don't worry about it. And quite frankly, most people don't care. They'll show you the ID. It's
Right.
really not that big of a step. You'll get occasionally someone, but, you'll get it on anything, so it doesn't matter. So, but thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think just to follow up, I think the only action would be just to submit just a very brief letter to the director, just stating
Yeah.
what your plans, and more because we asked it of everyone else, so we just want to,
Yeah, that's no problem. I can
Keep that.
document that for Shannon.
and it's nothing we have to review and approve, it's just
Yep, she can put it.
something for her knowledge and for the record.
I will say there's a lot of online resources about action plans, follow-up. these are all things that you might want to look at and
Okay.
maybe address in your own plan, but there are a lot of good resources out there about programs designed to frustrate minors in purchasing. So I wouldn't hesitate to look at that and incorporate where necessary.
And I believe, Ron, you had mentioned that you offer your services as a resource, as you do for a lot of the other permit holders, because you can't know everything all the time, and your wealth of knowledge, especially be able to share what other people have done for best practices.
Really, anytime.
Yeah.
And one of the things, I mean, I'll just say it, I've been out today, and it's just, I guess I sound like a broken record, but at least it's a different person, or a different retailer all the time. But that sign that we're talking about that says, we must ID, it's mandated by state law. Sometimes the retailers take a lot of, attitude sometimes from a few customers who, want to give colorful language, perhaps a hand signal or two for their frustration being ID'd. And the thing I try to impart upon all of the staff is that use that sign as a point and shrug. You don't have to create a confrontation, because that sometimes there's a worry about that. It's just point to the sign to show it's not the store's fault, we'll say. All the heavy is the state. It says on it mandated by state law. Point to it, shrug, and if you still get some attitude, I usually point to that. I don't know, I can't remember yours, but it's either a circular camera, surveillance camera or such, and I just go meekishly and just point to it and say, my boss, Dean, is watching me. He watches every transaction. Sorry, Really, in essence, what you're trying to convey is, give me a break. I'm just working here. I'm just trying to work here, as opposed to this is the law and this sort of thing. The trainings, by the way, have been shorter and shorter, because it's more psychology now, just an attitude, and I'm encouraging, just every day, almost like a huddle, let's do this. That's it. I mean, it doesn't take much, so.
Thank you, Ron.
Yeah, thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And best of luck, and again, don't take it the wrong way, but we hope we never see you before us again.
Same here.
Have a good
Thank
night.
Okay. We have old business, 175 Kendall. And then we go into direct reports. So I'm going to sort of start off with the update on 175 Kendall, because I have in the notes from the director, let me just read what she submitted to me. It says, Mrs. Saladino dropped a letter stating they are only keeping chickens and no more rabbits. The structures in the backyard are small enough that they don't need a permit from the building department. These structures are no longer going to house animals. The chicken coop is separate. Chickens will be moved inside the garage during the winter months. A registration was applied for 12 hens. Pam did an inspection on September 11th, confirming the rabbits were removed and there are only 9 chickens, with the ability to get 3 more. The registration was granted. So in this case, hopefully things are on the good path, but that was a wise thing. And just a side note that Mr. Saladino had slipped last winter on the backyard when he was trying to get the property cleared up from things before. So I'm sure he's definitely going to be happy that he does not need to traverse the backyard to take care of the chickens in the winter. So we'll see how this works, but this should be a very manageable size for him.
Yeah.
Moving on to director reports. Jade East. Consultant went in 2 times in 1 week to see if there would be violations. 1 violation was noted and was corrected immediately in sight. All other reports show no violations. They are doing very well. Next item is West Nile virus risk in Tewksbury is moderate. There were mosquitoes that tested positive for EEE around Worcester, and the risk here is still low. Mosquitoes will be present until the first frost. Central Mass Mosquito is done spraying for the season. But there are 2 things that residents or property owners can do to try to minimize the presence of mosquitoes, because we're still getting heavy rainfall and rain is still accumulating, is to A, remove standing water in your yard, and B, long sleeves and pants when you're outside, and use mosquito repellent from dusk to dawn. Flu clinic will be held on September 28th. Let me check my calendar so I get the right day of the week for that. So that is next Thursday at the Senior Center from 9 a.m. to noon. To sign up, you can call Ashley, our town nurse at the Health Department. If anyone is looking for a homebound flu vaccine, please contact Ashley at 978-640-4470, which is the main number for the Health Department. Housing Authority Flu Clinic will be on Tuesday, October 3rd from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And in terms of COVID vaccine, quote unquote, we are looking into ordering some once it is available to health departments. So I'm sure that when we have our October meeting, there'll be update on that if that has become available. Next item, Ashley is teaching youth mental health first aid, October 11th in Acton Town Hall from 10 to 4:30 p.m. Ashley and Christina Outreach have completed teaching their 15-week Buried in Treasure class. They'll be looking to start a new one next year. Final two items, Fall Festival this Saturday and Sunday at Livingston Street from 12 to 5. And the last one, it's always nice to end on a positive note, Lisa's Pizza is now open. So moving on to board reports, I just have one thing I want to mention. I think it was about 3 weeks ago, there was a water main break that impacted Ames Hill and Catamount. And I live in Cayuga, which is right off of Catamount. And the town is utilizing our Code Red system to notify folks. And it's set up that it'll either do a townwide notification or they can narrow it down and do just a regional notification to notify if it's just a small area of people that are impacted. When there is an emergency, and this would be considered an emergency, information is at a premium. And when there's a lack of official information, people fill that void. And I was amazed and shocked to see all the conversations that are going on in the Facebook groups, and my wife and daughter were chiming in, seeing what they were seeing, just about questions and misinformation, and just residents were not sure what they should be doing. And I really want to take a quick chance to remind folks that the police department does subscribe to the Code Red notification system. And if you go to the town website and just search on Code Red registration, you'll find a page under the police department's website section that'll list how you can register for Code Red and whether you get email or phone alerts on your home phone or your cell phone. And then you can choose how much or how little you want to be notified. There are also instructions if you are a subscriber and you want to receive more or less notifications. So I highly encourage residents to sign up for the Code Red notification, because it is the primary means that the town uses to notify residents when there is any type of an issue. The Board of Health Department had to utilize it several times during the COVID pandemic to get information out quickly to all residents. So it's not just a DPW or a police issue, it's also can be used by other town departments as appropriate. But I just want to remind people that Code Red is the official town notification system. There are other means that the town uses to notify, but Code Red is the primary one. And you really need to make sure you subscribe to that service in order to receive those notifications. So that's everything was on the director's report, and I want to add anything you two want to?
So the Wellness Committee did meet this month. They are reviewing the wellness policy, and they pretty much rewrote it. So it's now going in front of the board. We're going to be meeting again, and we're working on figuring out like a calendar for events and to include different events that are going on and restarting. And it was a good turnout. There was, I don't even know how many people, but there was a good amount of people there and from different places. So like there was a student, there were some teachers, nurses, all of that. So it was a good variety. So I think you'll be seeing a lot of things coming forward in the next, few months to the end of the year. Next year, I think it'll be starting up with the calendars and things. So for people to look into that. And then with Tewksbury Cares, that's still on hold, awaiting transfer to Kate. So hopefully I will be able to get that done this month with her.
Okay. So question on the Wellness Committee. I know last year, if I remember correctly, they met quarterly, and I believe you had mentioned that they were looking at trying to potentially meet more frequently. Do you know where that stands?
Yes, so the next meeting is, give me 1 second. I want to say they're going to be meeting in November instead of quarterly, so I believe their next one is in November, but I can't find it right now, so I apologize for that. It's not on my calendar.
And is that by chance a public meeting, or is it a?
I believe anyone can come, yeah. I mean, we don't have like a board. I'm still getting used to all of the regulations and details. However, we had, like, those that were on were the ones that were asked to be involved, so there was an email with that. And so the next meeting, so the next meeting is 10/4.
Okay.
Found it. So 10/4 and then 12/6. And they're all at 3:30 at the Tewksbury Memorial High School.
Okay, and just, I think for public clarification, the Wellness Committee is not a regular town committee. It's under the auspices of the school department.
Yes.
So it's sort of an internal town meeting, so to speak, and this will be the second year that we've had someone from the Board of Health, and namely you, sit on that, so.
Yeah, and the meetings are put up, the meeting minutes are put up, I believe, on the school and the town
Okay.
website as well. So it's through the school. We haven't had any visitors per se or public, but it's not videoed, it's not.
Okay.
that. So it's kind of like a subcommittee.
Okay.
Kind of like the policy committee.
Yeah, it's an informal group.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's all I have currently.
Okay. Bob, anything for you?
Other than reminding everybody that the warrant article for town meeting fall has been released. There's a publication that has all the warrant articles in it. Public should take a look at it. I believe the Finance Committee is coming right up, their meeting, and the October special town meeting is scheduled. I would encourage everyone to attend.
Yeah, especially with this, the October meeting always involves the actual funds once the cherry sheets have been released to town. So this is the one that has a lot of expenditures. So this tends to get more public attending the town meeting.
That's correct. If you want to see how a municipality allocates and spends money, the warrant articles are there to explain where it's going, how it's being expended or transferred from department to department.
I believe it's the 25th, the finance one. I believe it's the 25th.
Yeah, usually it's like
It's a
about a
Monday.
week or so before.
It's,
The meeting.
it's coming right up.
Yeah.
It'll be the last week of September, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I think it's,
And the date's in the warrant article, so.
yeah, it is in there. It's right on there.
Okay. So the final thing I want to mention is Just a public service reminder, I'll put my MRC hat on for a second, our gray shirt that we wear. September is Emergency Preparedness Month, and I just want to take this chance to remind folks that in time of an emergency, residents are really having to fend for themselves in terms of food, shelter, and so on. The town's response is really towards DPW and public safety, so they're focused on making sure streets are open. So if there's a power outage, you just want to make sure ahead of time you have a plan in place for what you would do, where you would go, especially if you have pets. FEMA has a lot of good resources. In the MRC, we always talk about having a 72-hour kit so that whether you need to leave your house for 3 days or if you're stuck at home for 3 days, you have enough supplies in hand to be able to get through that 3-day period. And where we are in the midst of hurricane season, and with the one that thankfully did not hit us last Saturday, just to give a reminder that people should give thought to it, especially as they're coming into the winter months as well, that we can have power outages from ice storms or snowstorms, and we just need to make sure that we're not doing just-in-time planning, but we can give some thought ahead of time for what we need to have and make sure it's all current and accessible. So with that, someone like to make the Mr. Rue motion?
Motion to adjourn this evening's meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Motion's been put forth and seconded to adjourn tonight's meeting. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. It is 6:33 PM. Good night, Tewksbury.
Good night.
Night.